Okay, so I'll be presenting my screen now. Is it visible to you? Okay, thank you. So, yesterday we started scheduling models, RTOS scheduling models, and the first model was discussed. Do you remember the name of that model? The first scheduling model? Anyone? So the name was cooperative scheduling model. The first scheduling model, cooperative scheduling model. And I said in this model, the term cooperative means that each ready task, it waits until the other task completes. So each task wait for the other task to get completed. If one particular task is running, then the tasks that are ready will wait in a ready queue until the previous task has been completed. So in this model, the RTOS, when a request goes to the RTOS, this RTOS will create a list of ready tasks. And these ready tasks, they are the one that has been put into the uh, list first will have the first priority, and the one that has entered the list placed into the list second will have second priority, and so on. And thus the priority of the task depends on the priority of its position. Depends on its position in the queue. So the priority of the task depends on its position in the queue, and the task that has been put first or that is entered first will be executed first, and when it completes its execution, only the next task gets executed. So the task 2, even though it is ready, it will wait for task 1 to get completed, and so on. And this goes till the end, that is until all the tasks has been completed. And when all the task has been completed, again it returns back to the first task, and this process goes on repeated. Okay, and the execution of these tasks is based on the interrupt that arrives. For each interrupt, these list of tasks will be executed. And we set the program counter how it switches. First, it starts executing task 1, then it goes to task 2, task 3, etc. It goes till task n, and finally, when all the task has been completed, it will come back to task 1. And this shaded portion, it shows the context switching or the program counter switching to the address of the next task. So this is what we discussed yesterday. And one automatic washing machine example was also said. Next, the second method is cooperative, the same scheduling, cooperative scheduling, but it assigns some priority to the task. So that is called cooperative scheduling with precedence constraints. It is also cooperative scheduling model where each task waits for the other task to get completed. But at the same time, in the first model, the tasks were not given any priority. They were, as soon as it is created, it is put into a ready list and it is executed one by one. The first one entered the list will be executed first, and so on till the end task. But in this model, the task, when they are placed into the ready list, the priority of the other tasks in the list is also compared. And if the task that has arrived um, at the end, or at the task that has arrived right now, if it has higher priority than the one that is already in the list, then the task which has been just arrived now will be put to the beginning of the list or the queue. Okay, in the first method, the task will be inserted into the queue in the order in which they arrive. No priority checking is done there. But in this model, when the tasks are put into the ready queue, that each task will have a priority. It will compare with the other tasks in the ready queue, and they will be sorted according to their priority. And the one that has the highest priority will be executed first. and that is the precedence is given to the task. So we call it as cooperative scheduling with some precedence constraints. Some precedence or priority is assigned. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? So what is the difference between the first and the second scheduling model? What is the difference between the first scheduling model and the second scheduling model in terms of the priority queue, in terms of the ready list or the circular queue? Is there any difference while the tasks are inserted into the circular queue in the first and second models? Hello? In cooperative scheduling model, that is the first model, and the second model is cooperative scheduling model with precedence constraints. So what is the difference between the two models in terms of the tasks that are inserted into the ready queue? Is there any difference? So I think you didn't understand the difference. Any response? Nobody is responding. Hello? I can see around 23 students in this meet and nobody is responding. Hello? Amrita, can you hear me? Anushri, can you hear me? Hello? Okay. So the difference is that in the first method, in the first scheduling model, while inserting tasks into the ready queue, the priority is not checked. Instead, they are put into the ready queue in the order in which they arrive. So the order determines its priority. Whereas in the second scheduling algorithm, that is cooperative scheduling with precedence constraints, whenever a task is inserted into the ready queue, its priority is compared with other tasks already in the queue. And if the one that has arrived as highest priority, then it will be inserted into the beginning of the queue. And if it has the lowest priority, it will be put at the end of the queue, or if it is in between, it will be inserted into the appropriate position in the queue. So the second method executes based on the priority. That is why we call it as cooperative scheduling with precedence constraints. And here it is again cooperative scheduling because each task waits for the other task that is currently executing to be completed. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Hello? Is it clear to you? Okay, then I'm proceeding. Okay. So you can see this model. In this model, the priority-based scheduling of, here there are two levels of priority-based scheduling. One is at the interrupt level and the other is at the task level. So we are concerned about the execution of the task, but to execute these tasks according to their priority, first the interrupts are assigned some priority. So the interrupts that has highest priority will be executed first and then followed by other lower priority interrupts. So the highest priority interrupts will be putting some tasks into this message queue, and this will then get inserted into the ready task based on its priority. So in this model, you can see that whenever the RTOS is invoked by the main program, the RTOS will first call the interrupt that has the highest priority. So this is the context switching to a higher priority interrupt. So this is the first interrupt, but it is not going in the order of execution. It is first executing the ISR2. So this arrow goes to ISR2, and so this ISR2 gets executed first since it has higher priority than ISR1. So here there are two levels of priority assignments. One is for the interrupt service routines and the other is for the tasks that are being generated by these interrupt service routines. And so here the ISR2 has highest priority, and so it will be executed first. Once it starts its execution, in between it returns, and it returns, that is the second step, it returns back to the RTOS after completing some of its execution. And when it returns, the next highest priority interrupt will be executed, and that is ISR1. First ISR2 will be executed. When it returns in between, the next highest priority interrupt in the third stage, the next highest priority interrupt, that is ISR1, will be executed. And now this ISR1, it completes its execution and it will return back to the RTOS. When it returns back, the ISR2 will start, it will be restarting its execution. It will be revoked again, and that is in the fifth step. It will go back to the point where it has returned, and then it will complete its execution and it will return back to the RTOS. So during its execution, it will put certain messages into this message queue, or some tasks will be put into this message queue. Each interrupt, as it executes, it will generate some tasks, and these tasks will be put into the message queue. And before putting the tasks into this message queue, these interrupt service routine, it will assign a token or a priority to these tasks. Priority will be attached to these tasks. And based on this priority, when all the interrupts that has been invoked has been completed, the task that has been forked by these interrupts will start execution. And that is the seventh step. When all the interrupts here has been executed, or the task that has been put into this message queue by the interrupts will be executed based on its priority. And that is the seventh step. In the seventh step, all the messages or all the tasks in that has been all messages put into the message queue will be executed based on its priority. So we can see that task 1, it has highest priority, so it has been inserted into the queue first. So as soon as the task 1 is put, or any task enters the queue, it will be sorted according to their priority. And so the task 1 has highest priority, and when task 1 completes its execution, it will go to the next task, that is task 2. So when task 1 is completed, it will be removed from this priority list. That is, tasks as per its priority is put into an ordered list. So when the task 1 starts its completes its execution, it will be removed from this list, and task 2 then will become the first task. So this context switching. Okay. At what time should you leave? 11:50, isn't it? So let me take your attendance. Say your attendance, please. Say your attendance. Number 1, absent. Okay, present. Number 2. Number 5. Number 6. See, only those who are attending the exam may go, others please remain. Okay, there are 9 students who are not attending the exam, they should remain. I'll be continuing my class till 12:10. And those who are leaving, you may listen to the records updated in Linways. Okay. Is it clear? Is it clear to you? Those who are attending the exam may leave. I have the list of those students who are attending the exam, and the rest may stay here. Okay, I will be continuing my class till 12:10. Okay. And those who are leaving, you can listen to the recorded videos in Linways, and if you have doubt, you can ask me later. So number 5, then number 5. Number 6, Anushri. Number 6. Number 7, Arjun. Number 8. Number 9. Number 11. Number 12. Number 13. Number 14. Number 16. Number 17. Number 18. Number 18. Number 18 absent. Number 20. 22. 23. 24. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 31. Ashwati. Okay. 32. 33. Okay. 33. And number 3. Okay. So number 18 is absent today. Number 18. Okay, those who have exam may leave now. Others please remain. Okay. So those who have exam can leave. I will be continuing my class. The rest of the class you should listen to the videos, and those who do not have exam please remain here. Is it clear? Okay. So I'm continuing my class. So, as I said, in this model, there is priority-based scheduling of the interrupt service routines first. And you have first the highest at one level. The first level is the priority-based scheduling of interrupt service routines. And then at the second level, there is priority-based scheduling of interrupt service tasks. And so here we see that the model, there is priority-based scheduling of ISRs, and that is executed first, followed by its corresponding priority-based ready tasks as an ordered list. And the scheduler will execute the first task in the ordered list. Here, after executing all the ISRs based on their priority, the scheduler will execute the task based on its priority. And the one that has highest priority will be executed first, and it will be removed from this ready list so that the second task becomes the first task ready to execute. So that is happening here. Insertions and deletions in the ordered list, they happen only at the beginning of the list. And the figure below illustrates this. As I said earlier, first the ISR2 has highest priority, so it will be executed. And when it returns in the middle, it returns after executing for some time. When it returns back, When it returns back, okay, Ashwati, you are present. Okay. When it returns back, the one that has the second highest priority, that is ISR1, will be executed. And when ISR1 is executed, after it will fork certain messages into the message box, as also ISR2 also will put certain messages to execute the tasks into the message box. And when all the interrupts that has been invoked and that has been generated has been executed, the last step it will go to execute. This is a seventh step. It will go to executing the task based on their priority. When all the tasks has been completed, a message is sent to the OS indicating that the task has been completed. So the model shows priority-based scheduling of ISR executed in the first layer or the top layer, and then there is a priority-based ordered list of tasks that is executed in the second layer, and that is the bottom layer. Now the ISR has a set of short codes that are to be executed automatically, and each of these codes, they are assigned its own priorities. And whenever an ISR sends a task into the message queue, it also sends a flag and a token and also priority parameter for the task to be initiated. And based on this priority parameter, the task gets inserted into the ready queue. Now here there is cooperative scheduling because each task will cooperate for the other task to finish, and none of the tasks will have a block in between. They will run to completion once it has been initiated. However, the next start of scheduling is from the priority-wise ordered list. So when one task has been completed, it will switch on to the next task based on the priority of the task in the list. So they are ordered according to their priority. Now the figure below shows the context switching of the program counter after during the execution of each ISR and the task. So first the RTOS calls ISR2 because it has highest priority. So the context switching happens from the RTOS to ISR2. When it has, as seen in this figure, in this context, it has executed for some time and then it is switching back to the RTOS. So here also in the figure, we have to show that ISR2 has executed for some time, then it is switching back to ISR1. And here, as according to this context, ISR1 has completed its execution. And when it completes its execution, it returns to ISR2. And context switching happens to ISR2. Now, when ISR2 has executed, both ISR1 and ISR2 over the two interrupts that has been invoked, and both of them have completed its execution. So now the RTOS goes to the task ready list of tasks and executes the task based on its priority. And tasks were inserted into the queue based on its priority. So task 1, which is presently in the queue, in the front of the queue, will have the highest priority. So task 1 will be executed. And then when it completes its execution, it goes to task 2 and so on. When all tasks have been completed, again, it returns to RTOS. Context switching happens to RTOS. And this shows the context switching of processes. Now here also we can compute the worst case latency. Worst case latency. Hope those who are present is listening. Hello. So now worst case latency. Worst case latency, it is the worst time that the task spends in the queue ready to be waits in the queue to get completed. And here we are using one term P suffix EM. PEM means the maximum execution time of a process. PEM, M is maximum, E is the execution time. So P suffix EM denotes the maximum execution time of a process. So let PEM be the priority of the task which has be a maximum execution time. So P denotes the priority, and the priority of the maximum it is the maximum execution time of the task that has the priority P. Now, then worst case latency for the highest priority task and the lowest priority task. what is the worst case, that is how much time should the highest priority task wait in the queue, or how much time should the lowest priority task wait in the queue, and that is the latency period, and that can be calculated as follows. And this is the same formula which I had written earlier. That is, DTI is the time at which it has entered the ready list, and STI is the switching time, and ETI is the execution time. And sum of all these three times gives the total time of execution of a particular process, of a particular task. And this task has the priority P, so it is written as PEM. And plus the time required to take the ISR. Based on each ISR, tasks have been initiated, and the ISR execution time should also be taken into consideration when calculating latency. So the total time for a particular process is the time it entered the queue plus the switching time plus its execution time, along with the time taken to service the interrupt that caused this task to be initiated. So it's the time varies from this value to the value. This, I hope you know, this is a total execution time of all the tasks, and T total, or we call it as this parameter we summarized in the previous model as T total. So T total plus T ISR is the worst case latency for normal processes. So this T total here, we just write the T total based on the priority. So this shows the priority of task 1, then this the priority task 2, etc. Priority of task M minus 1, etc. up to task M. So there are M tasks in the list. So the total time of all the tasks will give the T total plus T ISR is the worst case latency, T total, T worst. And the T worst ranges from the highest priority task to the sum of all the tasks. Here P1, P2, etc. PM are the priorities of the tasks in the ordered list, such that the priority, we said that tasks are inserted based on its priority. So P1 will be greater than P2, P2 will be greater than P3, etc. So tasks are inserted in the queue based on priority. So task 1 has the highest priority and it is assigned as P1, and so on. They are ordered in, they are placed orderly in the list based on its priority. So in this model, the programmer should assign the highest priority to the task that has the lowest deadline. TD is the task deadline. TD represents the deadline for completing the task. So when the priority is assigned for each task, the task that has the lowest deadline means the task that should be completed immediately should be given the highest priority. So when a programmer assigns highest priority to a particular task, he should assign the highest priority to the task which has the lowest deadline. So based on the deadline, the task will be given priority. If it is not meeting the deadline, then the system will be a failure. So the task should complete within its deadline. An example of this model, that is which follows cooperative scheduling with the precedence constraints model, is the automatic coin vending machine, ACVM, automatic coin vending machine. As you can see that this machine, it allows an end user to insert a coin, and it reads the value of the coin and delivers the chocolates, and then displays a message, thank you. So which task among this has the highest priority? Is it the thank you message? Is it the delivery of the chocolates? Which one has the highest priority among these? Can anyone say? Among the tasks which I had said now for an automatic coin vending machine, which task has the highest priority? I had identified 3 tasks here. That is inserting the coin. Coin has to be inserted. Then the chocolate can be delivered. Then display a message, thank you. which one has the highest precedence. As soon as you go to this machine or start operating this machine, some message will be running throughout. Okay, whether it can be thank you or visit again, some message will be running throughout. And now, as soon as you insert the coin, that task will return. So whenever the coin is inserted, the task that is currently running will be returned, and so this one has the highest priority. And once the coin is inserted by the user, the chocolate is delivered, and then it machine displays the thank you message. So the precedence of task reading the coin is the highest, and once the coin is read, it is followed by the chocolate delivery task and then the display task. So the order in which the task executed, the order in which these tasks are to be executed should be based on priority. We cannot deliver the chocolate first and then collect the coin. So the order in which the tasks are to be executed should be considered, or it should be given high precedence. So that is why we call it as cooperative scheduling with precedence constraints. And each of these tasks to wait for the other task to finish. So that is about cooperative scheduling model with precedence constraints. So we have discussed two models. One is cooperative scheduling model and the other is cooperative scheduling model with precedence constraints. Next is the third model, cyclic and round robin with time slicing scheduling model. I'm sure that you might have studied round robin scheduling model. Now time slicing scheduling model. Round robin with time slicing scheduling model. Have you studied this model, round robin scheduling model in operating system? Okay, so what is round robin scheduling model? What is round robin scheduling model? So I'll just go through it. In round robin scheduling model, the process as it becomes ready to be executed, it will be put into a ready queue. And the process that arrives first will be executed first, and then it goes on to the second process. And when the process 2 has been executed, it will go to the third process. So here, what happens is, if any of the process does a block in between, the other processes will have to wait. So in round robin scheduling model, what it does is, it will assign a time slice to each process. So if for say 5 milliseconds to first process, then 5 milliseconds to second process, and so on. So if there are 3 processes, process P1 will execute for 5 milliseconds, then it will be preempted, and then P2 will execute for 5 milliseconds. Again, if it has not been completed, again it will be preempted, and then P3 executes for 5 milliseconds, and if it completes within that 5 milliseconds, it will be removed from the queue. And now again the other tasks, the incomplete tasks are waiting in the queue. So again it will return back to P1. It will execute the remaining code for 5 milliseconds. Then when 5 milliseconds, within the 5 milliseconds, if it has not been completed, it will go to the next process P2 and so on. So a time slice is assigned to each process that are ready to be executed. And after the time slice, they are preempted and then they are put into the end of the queue. And this goes on in a circular manner. So we call it as round robin scheduling. Is it clear? Okay, so in round robin scheduling here also in RTOS also we have round robin scheduling model, and also the time slicing has to be given for each task so that it executes for that particular time slice and then it is put back into the end of the queue. And we call it as cyclic scheduling because it is the process is getting repeated throughout. In embedded systems, most of the products are designed to run throughout their life. So the process has to be repeated one after the other in a cyclic manner. So cyclic scheduling also has to be followed. And in this cyclic scheduling, we can apply round robin with time slicing model. So first, let us see what is cyclic scheduling. And then we will go to round robin scheduling. Okay, I think it's time and really very few are here. So we'll start the scheduling in the next class because it is very important. cyclic scheduling with round robin time slicing is very important in among these scheduling algorithms. So we will continue it in the next class. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts? Okay. Okay, thank you. Harida. Thank you, Amrita. Thank you.
മുഹമ്മദ് ജാസിൽ പ്രസന്റ് ആണ്.
ആരാ?
മുഹമ്മദ് ജാസിൽ പ്രസന്റ് ആണ്. അറ്റൻഡൻസ് ഇട്ടിട്ടില്ല നേരത്തെ.
നേരത്തെ അറ്റൻഡൻസ് പറയാന്
പറയാണെങ്കിൽ ഞാൻ അന്നേരം താഴെ പോയി വെള്ളം കുടിക്കാൻ.
ഓക്കെ. Thank you.